Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing fine, and welcome back to THS 8103 and Nursing 8452. I hope you're all doing well. This tends to be sort of the crunch time when we pull together the things we've been working on throughout the semester, sort of tap them off, and then prepare for your final assignment. I wanted to start first by talking about assignments, just so everyone's clear. Your participation grade, I want to speak specifically to your requirement to give us a weekly update for these sessions. So in the discussion board, as your team meets, you want to make sure that this final discussion board gets updated at least weekly to give us a chance to check on your progress, maybe give some feedback, and also you can use it however you'd like. If you want to use it as a communication tool, whatever you'd like. I just want to remind you that we want to keep track of your progress and help where we can. So you can also leave questions there, maybe share some things that you might want some feedback on, etc. So just a reminder about that. And this is the third part of your participation grade, which is worth 5% in the course. It's not a lot, but it is a requirement. Other assignments, as you know, you have provided us with assignment 1. Thank you very much. We are sort of rounding the corner on that, and we are we'll be posting grades soon. Feedback, I think feedback came in this form. I've given oral feedback into your voice thread, and Dr. Lay has given some written feedback. So look out for that in the next couple of days. We'll probably have that all done. Assignment 2, which is the write-up or your short paper of what you did with your team observation, is due the 24th of Thanksgiving. Excuse me, 24th, which is the day before Thanksgiving. We did that very purposefully so that you can have a nice Thanksgiving and not have a paper hanging over your head. It also gives us a chance to turn those grades around. So we'll be grading over the holiday weekend. So please try your absolute very best to make that deadline on the 24th so we can start reading and turn around and give you feedback on that. And of course, now you're starting to get into your final team project, which focuses in on convergence research. So let me just go back to the session where we begun this discussion, which it was session 9, yes, 9, where we introduced the idea of what convergence research is. What I'm hoping you are discovering is how some of the pieces we've been talking about all fit into this overall approach. Again, you have read and watched video, the short video about what convergence research is. This is really now in many ways the gold standard for the National Science Foundation and also the National Institutes of Health, though not calling it the same exact thing, is moving in this direction, especially in NCATS, which is the institute within NIH that handles all things translational science, that we look holistically at not just science, but how we do science, who we include when we do science, how we develop teams, and what the impact of our science is. This is really, again, the gold standard to date of how sciences that we do should be understood. You know well, of course, from other classes, especially in the THS program this semester, when you talk about translational science and the chasms and also the spectrum, you realize that it's really all sort of iterative into itself, that as we learn how to do the science that is translational, we are in fact informing the way we do science. This again is not entirely a brand new idea. It's been a preoccupation with NIH for about 20 years, but many other science clusters, I would call them, from aerospace to physics to sustainability, have adopted this way of looking at science and how to construct science teams for a long time. And now it's time for health science and biomedicine to sort of catch up and adopt these practices. And like I said, officially adopted within NSF, and NIH is catching up quickly. So now let's go to this week's session, which is session 9. So we're starting to talk about the major, oops, sorry, that's wrong. Session, sorry about that. Session 12, 13. So in 10 and 11, you were introduced to the first couple of tenets, the principles of convergence research, which one should be very familiar with you from the work that we've done already in taking a cross-disciplinary approach. And then we added some more examples, really, of how targeting the social impact of research that's done in a translational way is part of the principles that we embrace when we look at how we do translational research and science. I already talked about posting weekly, what your updates are or any other stuff that you want to post, get feedback on, or just share with other classmates. I encourage you to peek in across teams. There's nothing wrong with that. You might learn something that another team is doing. The idea here is not to get the exact right answer, but to get a good answer to the objectives of the assignment. I also want to introduce to you, this is a log on and learn item. This is an international collaboration that is run by Dr. Gabriela Balmer. She's at the Australian National University, and she focuses her work on integration and implementation science, what we often call I2S. And this particular, it's really a blog, I would say, but it's a very serious blog. People all over the world have contributed to this. There's a lot of great new cutting edge sort of conversations that are occurring. And this comes at a great time because you can start to understand how this transition from team science in this semester feeds right into implementation science. For those of you who are in the THS program, you'll be going into that course not long from now in January. You can subscribe. I highly recommend that you do. You're going to not only be introduced to some really interesting implementation and integration conversations, but also tangentially, and maybe I should say in parallel, ongoing team science issues. So I highly recommend you log on to that. Of course, it's free, and subscribe. I think it's going to come in handy, especially as you transition into next semester. Okay, so now that we've looked at that, which is where you started last week, now we can go into where we're going in sessions 12 and 13. The reason why these are in 2-week blocks is because we know that you're working in team-wise fashion, and sometimes hard to connect and find the right time and all that stuff. So that's why these are in 2-week blocks. So for session 12 and 13, which will be from tomorrow, Thursday, through December 1st, beginning of December, you'll be focusing in on a couple other principles associated with convergence research, namely engagement of stakeholder community. Again, if you've been in the complexity science course, you've been talking about this already, and team formation. So I just want to draw your attention to the choices of readings here. First off, before everyone has a heart attack, remember right here, there's an or. So you can choose to focus on these sources up here, or these sources down here. So you see, in this case down here, it's Cook and Hilton and Kowalski, Ilgen. And then if in the engagement and stakeholder communities section, you have Gonzalez and Salas. Salas is going to look very familiar. I've talked about it a little bit, but this is the article, and Gonzalez is a new article. And of course, we give you, oh, I'm sorry, and the Can and Flinterman right there. We give you, of course, some focus questions, so you know what you're looking for as you're reading them. But here, I think what you're going to start to understand in a little more detail is how important it is that you are not only good team members in the sense that you have the skills and the knowledge of how to operate as team members, but you also will be in situations where you lead teams. So some of the literature is going to talk more from the perspective of how to lead and create teams or develop teams, and some of the literature is going to talk more about what it means to bring teams together. This is more in the area of the stakeholder community. So what we're working towards, as you know, is putting together a plan based on the special area that you are working on. I'm sorry, I didn't put the team names here again. I'll fix that after this video. The areas of emphasis that you have, the THS students have some pre-identified ones that were also used in your complexity science course, and the nursing cohort has a choice to choose their own. So looking forward to hearing about how the progress is going. And just to look ahead, because it just seems like these weeks just fly by, let's look at what is in the final week, not so much in the area of content. Dr. Lay will be addressing the content here, but the course runs till December 8th. We've given everyone until, oops, let's go to the syllabus, until the 13th, which I believe is a Monday, to provide that final assignment. Yeah. So the reason for that is to give you as much time as possible. But the downside of that is we definitely need those submitted on time so we can turn them around, grade them, because grades are going to be due shortly thereafter. So please make sure you look at these dates. They are a little crunched together, and I'm sorry about that. Again, it goes back to when other assignments that you have been due in other courses. So please take a look at this and coordinate with your teams so that you can meet the December 13th deadline for the final assignment. There are only going to be 4 assignments delivered, 1 from each of the 4 teams. So when you go to the gradebook, whatever your final assignment looks like, everyone is going to post that assignment, your group assignment, in your Blackboard, if that makes sense. And be sure to use VoiceThread so we can give you appropriate feedback slide by slide. do that with a certain amount of fluidity. So we don't have to be writing paragraphs and paragraphs of feedback, which is not fun to create and not fun to read. It's much more interesting to watch your presentation again and get some oral feedback. As always, please reach out to us and ask questions in the general course question forum. I have one last announcement. One of the things I need to do is create for your last assignment, the ITP assessment. I need to create that and put in your emails and so forth. That has not been done yet. So, which is okay because you won't need to actually conduct that until the beginning of the semester. But just giving you a heads up, I still need to create that and put in your email addresses. It's an online tool, so it requires you to be able to access it, and I have not done that yet. So just in case you go to it and you don't get how you do it, just hold off and I will get there. When you do go to that link, you can read a little bit about what the ITP is and how it's useful to use with teams. I regret not having the time in this course to spend a whole lot of time on assessment. Usually when we, for people who become interested in doing some sort of team science research and like dissertation, for instance, that's when we sort of go deeper and I introduce you to assessments and tools and so forth that might be helpful in your research. This also, unfortunately, is not a type of course that prepares you to do any sort of facilitation or consultation. Again, that would be sort of a totally different course, but I do have you do this because it does give you a little bit of insight into how your team functions, and also gives you sort of an idea of the types of assessments that are out there in which to measure team function. Okay. Again, please send us your questions. It gets to be crunch time, and we know that. And the next thing you know, the holiday comes and we're at the end of the semester. So please do not hesitate if you need our help. All right, have a great day. And I'm looking forward to seeing those updates in that final discussion board. And just think, we're almost there. For those of you who are first semester THS students, you are just 3 weeks, give or take, from the end of your first semester nursing cohort. You're in your second year, but I still think it's a great accomplishment that you've made it this far, and we're looking forward to continuing to work with you over the years. Okay, you will hear from us again, of course. I just wanted to end my train of thought, and I look out for those updates and read them and give you some feedback if you're asking, especially if you're asking for specific feedback. Okay, have a good day, and we'll see you on the boards. Thank you. Bye-bye.